Madam Speaker, we are discussing the report of your committee, which considered the special audit that was undertaken on the procurement as well as the management of petroleum products from the period 1st January 2019 to 31st December 2022. Madam Speaker, as you have mentioned, this is a very technical subject, and I would like to implore that those who don't understand it must stay away. Madam Speaker, perusing through this report, there are a number of audit findings that have been highlighted. Some of those, findings, Madam Speaker, appears to be bordering on issues of corruption. Others appear to be bordering on issues of misapplication of funds, collusion, embezzlement of public funds, and the like. A few of these audit findings, Madam Speaker, for the sake of record, there are issues of irregular or direct bidding. There are issues of failure to secure title deeds, particularly for the depot that was constructed in Mansa, as well as in Chipata. There is an audit query on the failure to operationalize the depot in Chipata, which was fully constructed. The issues of single sourcing, Madam Speaker, issues of invoice pricing, the lack of conducting due diligence on suppliers of fuel. These are but the many issues that have been highlighted in your report, Madam Speaker, which borders on issues that I stated, some of which looks like corruption, some of which looks like collusion, embezzlement. And, Madam Speaker, this report has come at a point where almost the whole week we've been talking about the subject of corruption. Corruption is a cancer that must be fought with vigor. And any corrupt practice, be it that it was conducted or done in the past, or be it that is being done today, must be given the same punishment. If somebody embezzled funds in the past, they must be meted with the same punishment as somebody who has embezzled funds today. Madam Speaker, as a technical point of view, or from a technical point of view, it's important to understand this process. We are talking about the procurement of fuel and also the management of fuel. In the past, Madam Speaker, for those that may want to understand what we're discussing, the previous governments, and I'm not talking about PF, the previous governments from UNIP had government participating full-time in the procurement and management and distribution of petroleum products, which saw the establishment of Tazama, which is a pipeline that would transport the commingled fuel all the way from Dar es Salaam into the refinery at Indeni. That, Madam Speaker, we can draw a lot of lessons from that system because it enabled government to be in full control of the entire petroleum subsector, right from the procurement into the distribution. Because, Madam Speaker, you wish to know, when a ship would dock, it would give us sufficient supply of petroleum products for at least 3 months. And we're not just talking about petrol, we are also talking about diesel, but also the byproducts. There would be jet fuel. Today, if you want jet fuel, you have to go and look for jet fuel outside. Today, if you want heavy, that if you are to have to look for kerosene today, paraffin as they call it, you also have to look for paraffin outside. Now, the system that was designed in the past guaranteed us of having all these products just from one sourcing of the commingled fuel that would come through Dar es Salaam. Now, this system, Madam Speaker, enabled us to be in full control of the pricing of our fuel. Because at any given point, Madam Speaker, we will not suffer the shocks in the international market. Because what would happen, like what is happening today, if the kwacha tumbles, we will feel the effect. Because today, we are a hand-to-mouth, country in terms of fuel. At most, Madam Speaker, we are not even having, sufficient stocks to last even, for a month. I stand to be corrected. But the system was designed that will have sufficient stocks that will last for 3 months. At least, Madam Speaker, when the previous government left, they had further established depots that would also guarantee us enough stocks for an extra 3 months, because that was the design. The construction of those storage facilities in provincial centers was to increase our storage capacity from the initial 3 months at Indeni to at least 6 months. Now, what that does, Madam Speaker, it makes you to be in control, so that peradventure, if anything happened, if there was war, you will have sufficient stock, at least for a period that will enable you to look elsewhere for the supplies of your petrol. What lessons are we drawing? Madam Speaker, the irregularities that have been cited in the report, single sourcing. I thought that this government should have drawn lesson from what happened in the past. Why should we today be talking about single sourcing? Because, Madam Speaker, the decision by government to pull out completely from the fuel subsector has seen certain decisions being made, as made in the past. Today we've heard of a decision that was made to single source agrofuel. Madam Speaker, to single source agrofuel. I would have thought that by today, these are lessons that we would have drawn from what happened in the past, that we should not repeat the single sourcing of a single supplier of fuel. So, the recommendations of the report that punishment must be meted on those that committed crime in the past, I want to support it. That whoever dipped their fingers in the coffers of government must be punished. But we must also draw lessons that everyone who is going to, or anyone who is going to involve themselves in single sourcing suppliers of fuel, they must equally be punished today. Because what that does is that it deters further or would-be offenders in the same system we're talking about. So, Madam Speaker, what does that Zimbabwean want? You want to rise up?
Honorable Member Fonkana, is that the way you address other honorable members, surely? No, stop threatening it. Okay, can we have some order? We need to be honorable, not only to ourselves, but to not only in the House, but even to each other. As you are debating, and also honorable members, you debate the single sourcing. What does the report say? What was wrong with this particular single sourcing? It's not all the single sourcing, but this particular single sourcing. What was wrong with this one? You may proceed.
Madam Speaker, how I wish you can allow me to read everything. But when we talk about single sourcing, Madam Speaker, it speaks to what happened in the past and what is happening now. I wish that, Madam Speaker, we did not have to engage ourselves in this debate. But let me conclude, Madam Speaker.
You are engaging the debate with who? You are saying with me? Or you are saying you are engaging the debate with the...
No, Madam Speaker, I was thinking that you were trying to engage me.
No, I'm not. I'm guiding you, Honorable Member. I was saying, as you debate single sourcing, address what was wrong with this particular single sourcing. I can't engage you, Honorable Member. I can only guide you to debate in a particular manner and address issues. As I said, this is a technical report. Let's address the issues in the report. You may proceed.
Madam Speaker, the past versus the present. I think that aside the wrongs that have been cited in the report, I've always insisted, and I want to insist now, the policy decisions of the New Dawn government to pull out from the fuel subsector is misplaced, because it has made us very vulnerable, to the shocks that would come. Number one, because of price fluctuations on the international market. Number two, because of the volatility of our currency against major convertibles. Today, businesses are barely surviving because of lack of planning arising from the monthly reviews of fuel prices, as opposed in the past when reviews were done quarterly.